Okay, I'd like to call to order the March 18th Fire District Board meeting. Would you all rise? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Wendy, would you call the roll?
Eric Beckman.
Here.
Dan Fox.
Here.
James Epstein.
Here.
Here.
Peter Stanislavski. Cheru Holland.
Here. Here.
And Kathy North.
Okay, Scott and Stacy are here with advance, are absent with advance notice. So, moving on, please turn off your cell phones and please don't text during the meeting. Could we have an approval of the agenda, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda of March 18th, starting at 4 o'clock, 2024.
Support.
We have a motion by Poland, support by Beckman. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Could we have the approval of the minutes of the February 19th, 2024 meeting, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of February 19th, 2024.
I'll support.
Motion by Poland, support by Beckman. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any
Yes.
opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Could we have a motion to approve? I gave you all the minutes of the closed session. Could we have a motion to approve the minutes of the closed session on February 19th, 2024?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for closed session of February 19th. Yep, February 19th, 2024. I'll support that.
Okay. Is there any discussion? There better not be. All those in
You
favor,
can't be.
please say
You
yes.
can't have it.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, we have public comment on agenda items only. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone that cares to speak?
Good chance to pay me back, Holly, if you want.
I know. Okay, can we have requests for payment? Oh, this is tough, we don't have Scott here tonight. Eric,
I'll
you wanna
make,
fill in for
I
me?
better find it first. I'll make a request to pay the bills in $175,108.75.
Second.
A motion by Beckman and a second by Fox. Is there any discussion about the bills? Hearing none, this is a roll call.
Beckman.
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Brookline.
Yes?
Yes.
Holland. North.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Moving on, fire chief comments. Kathy's in a hurry tonight, so.
Right, so, yes, like I said, I will go through this quickly because there's nothing really out of the ordinary as far as the statistics go. Welcome back from Florida, Kathy.
Thank you.
And Eric. So, I guess most notable is February 2024 was up 16%, a little over 16% on calls. So that's something you'd want to know. Our response time increased, most likely weather related. It can fluctuate dramatically by the weather. Overlapping calls, those of you who may not know that, overlapping calls, one that happens right after one another within 1 hour. Those are overlapping calls. So we run about 20% in February of our call volume being overlapping. Typically on an annual basis, about 35%. So it's down somewhat. So for February, about 28% where you have back-to-back calls or 3 calls. That would be it for the statistics unless there's any questions. Our Department of Fire Prevention, We have really accrued a number of hours in fire prevention education, primarily at the schools. So that would be something you'd like to see. Our last session at the elementary school was escape planning, where they actually went out the classroom window. Pretty bold move with hundreds of students.
In the
And,
rain.
In the rain, we compensated for that. But it gives the kids some activity, and they see, oh my gosh, I can't reach the window, how's the teacher gonna handle this? How do they get out of the window? No jumping, no running. Great exercise. Chris Bernardi, Chris Mantles set it up. We had Marcy there, one of our new firefighters. So it was really a great, one of the best activities because they're involved. And Douglas Police helped us with that. So we're really happy to share that with you. Next week, this week, Thursday, we'll be doing upper elementary as far as evacuation. Because it's easy to talk about it, but when you try to get out a window, it's not so easy. How do I remove the screen? What do I do on the second floor? These are things we're always trying to teach the kids. In the school, they all know, how's 2 ways out of the room? Window, the door. Now, some of them have 3 ways out, because the classrooms are so big, so they can go in another classroom. But we actually fog up the room. They've got to hit the deck and crawl out. And then they go to the window, teacher helps them get out, so.
Nice. Easy to talk about, but
not practice. And where do you go to a meeting place? Big thing is accountability. There's nothing worse than a parent or a firefighter when you don't know where a child is. Because everyone's gonna go in and risk their lives for that child when they're out by the black playground or by a swing set. Communication, that's where you try to get the families involved. Sometimes we're successful, sometimes we are not. Michigan fatal fire statistics, unfortunately 37 deaths and 35 fires, 13% increase in deaths year-to-date, 25% increase in fires, something we hate to report. Cost recovery update, the cost recovery team has done a great job. We received another $5,400. You will see that come up.
Which incident was that, Greg?
This was a chemical truck that had turned on its side.
And that wasn't one of the 3 incidents last time, right?
Well, it was,
Oh,
but they had 2 insurance carriers.
you get money from both?
Yep.
Nice.
And we tried to inform them, so we don't know quite what they were up to. Grant awards, I'm happy to share with you. We got another $20,000 grant award from our insurance carrier. It is specified, it is only for the attenuator truck, hoping to give you more of an incentive to go ahead with that. Chris was the chief author. We have a grant team, but Chris was the chief author on this grant and wrote it some time ago, so that I'm happy to share with you. Next up is, I was fortunate enough to be invited to the Michigan Public Safety Communications Interoperability Conference. They pay my way, I take comp time, spend 2.5 days. My subject matter was school safety, primarily the outstanding program that Allen County did of offering free to the schools radio testing to establish, do we have coverage or not? We don't have coverage to the east. We just found out the other day we do not have coverage to the south. So what are we going to do about it? That's up to the jurisdictions. More to come on that. But I just want to let you know that I'm co-chair of the state fire pager committee that migrated to radio coverage inside buildings. And my co-chair is Al Mellon. He works for the state of Michigan. He's a programmer. And once a year we have to do presentations on summaries of what we spend the year working on. That concludes my chief comments, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Unfinished business.
Thank you. I forgot in my rush to finish this meeting to give for Peter's financial report, so we'll go back to financial report.
I see the print's getting smaller, smaller.
Yay.
The numbers are getting bigger.
My arms are getting shorter.
Okay, so item, I don't know what page this, item, the revenue side. So basically, all the property taxes are paid in the far right-hand column, the available balance, those first three numbers. So that's basically, I'm waiting for either the two cities or the township to make the final payment, or those could be delinquent taxes, which will be made whole by the Allegan County Treasurer probably sometime in early June. So basically, we've collected all of our revenues. Those numbers will all become either zero or close to zero. And then all the numbers that are in the parentheses, that's over collected revenues over the original budget. So you can see we got the large donations, cost recovery, plan review fees, inspection fees are way up, interest is up somewhat, and sale of an asset. And we get down to the expenses, and the only ones that are over budget currently are the ones with the parentheses around them. You see the payroll for special events is over, professional fees, which basically are some legal fees, and my fee or the city of Saugatuck fee for me, that's over, but most of that's called the legal fees. And then flip the page, just general insurance is over, we'll have to get that corrected. Then the long-term capital, that's over with now with the purchase of the truck that they, at the last board meeting, so we'll have to have a budget adjustment. But overall, I think we're in fairly decent shape. Payroll, we should be right around about the 68, that's, you see the payroll on the first page of the firefighters' operational wages. The one that's up a little bit are fire calls and medical calls. Medical calls are way, I mean, they're at 75%, and we're only paid through the month of February, so we should be somewhere right around in the mid-60s compared to the budget. But I think overall, we're, we don't control the telephone when the pagers go off, so that's just a good shot over the average over the years. But the medical calls cost is up currently compared to the budget line item. So I don't know if anybody has any particular questions or...
Well, the professional services is always an issue if we're at 122%.
Yeah, so we're $6,700 over budget. We've had quite a bit of legal cost here in the last 120 days.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay, moving on to unfinished business. Item A, funding approval request for 2120, it already has a number, the traffic management apparatus. Is this looking ahead or what? Is this hopeful?
Called determination.
I guess we probably...
Suggestive selling.
Yeah. Please. So I guess the good part about the attenuator truck project is we were successful as we are relentless at how can we reduce taxpayer spending on needed equipment. I feel the team has done an exceptional job. We have not sold the engine yet, but still this team has, acquired $120,000 towards the truck. And we are running out of places to go for money, but the recent $20,000 that grant team led by Chris achieved, I'm hoping you will give serious consideration to ordering this truck.
Now, where are we financially with donations?
You're at $120,000.
Oh, okay. Discussion.
I was gonna say, the transport capable vehicle that just acquired opportunistically on several levels, with compliments to the guys that went out, to Chris and did the inspection or whatever. It's a wonderful
Hey,
vehicle.
Dan, can you speak up a little bit?
Sorry.
This end of the table is
I'm sorry.
hard of hearing.
Usually that's not a problem with me, so that's easy, Kathy. The addition of that vehicle, at least in my time on this board, is probably if you could point to one decision made that had the potential for conceivably the greatest impact on the people we serve, I sort of think that's it, for me. And I shared some of this with the Saugatuck City Council at their last meeting, and more than one of them mentioned how great it was to hear that this was going to be available here. And I explained to them the whole no ambulance available issue, and this cuts down on that dramatically. I think sort of in the same vein, this truck gives to the firefighters and the EMTs a measure of protection that we owe them. This morning, not that long ago, when in town before I left to go up to get some medicine, it was a whiteout. Literally a whiteout in Saugatuck, and by the time I got to 196, the sun was coming out. And I thought, before I knew the sun was coming out, I thought, oh God, because that's the kind of situation where some assholes, somebody's going to be texting, off they're going to go into the median or or they're going to hit somebody or whatever, and that's bad enough. But right after that is going to be the call here that puts these guys and ladies out on that highway, and I think we owe it to them. I know there are issues with, whether our neighbors, our less resourced neighbors may take advantage of us on this, but we can probably figure out some way to deal with that. So I am prepared to make this motion the way it stands.
With what you just said, is there any way that we can put a fee schedule on this unit?
Yeah.
I mean, I know we have mutual aid to get that, but
Cost recovery wise, which would probably be the largest potential revenue stream for this, if you want to say revenue stream. So certainly, we charge for trucks. That's how you actually got $20,000 more for this, by capturing that cost recovery per truck per person. So that truck would be listed on the cost recovery, and it's a calculation of what it costs. Like, for example, our new engine is $550 an hour. The other engine is $250 an hour. So it would be based on the cost of what the truck was to build it. So yes, it would be cost recovery situation that when the cost recovery team determines this is applicable, we should go pursue reimbursement, it would be included on that.
my other question about the Scorpion MASH thing is if it gets hit, I'm sure insurance covers it. How long does it take to get replaced?
Checked on that with MDOT and with the vendor. They stock parts because it's not uncommon for them to come and have to replace components on
The
it.
back end
Yes,
of it? Okay.
correct. The truck would be like anything else would go in a body shop. But hopefully this would take the hit, but the components are there. I reached out to our insurance company. They told me a vendor, and then I reached out to MDOT.
Okay, I don't want to cast a spell on anything, but it seems like we've had a lot of fires lately. Is it necessary to sell 2112 at this point? I mean, we've had how many fires in the last few months? They've really, really increased. I'm wondering if it's wise to sell 2112 at this point. It's not going to get all that much money for it.
I think the way I would suggest the board consider it is a fleece test. If we put this and we get it at our target market price, great. If we don't, we reevaluate it, come to the board.
I would rather see that happen than just immediately sell 2112. 2112 is a really good.
We're not looking to, it's not a distressed sale.
Right.
And the prices of trucks nowadays, you all know this, but we knew we had to do something creative to show the board we're serious, we need this, and we are willing to give up a truck to get it, because this has been 2 years in the making.
Well, one of the feelings I have is because we got such a, I think Dan hit the nail on the head, is because we got such a darn good deal on the transport vehicle. I was expecting almost
too.
6 figures,
Yeah,
truly, and if you ask Mark Myers, he knows they cost 6 figures, and we got that for half, so in my mind, we saved a hell of a lot of money there. And I would hate to see us get rid of something as useful as 2112, just to try to be penny wise and pound foolish.
yeah, we've gotten rid of other trucks that we probably jumped at too fast, maybe. Maybe it's best to wait a while and see how this all comes out. Does that work with our budget, Pete?
Well, we got $100,000 in donations right now, I guess it all depends.
Well, if
Yeah.
you got $100,000 donations, but you also got you got another $20,000 between grants,
Grant.
and then you have cost recovery of $18,000.
So I think we're in decent shape, I just don't know what,
Yeah.
it's all about the cash flow here. Is when do we need half down when you order it, or is it delivery
Can I
on the
ask
truck?
Chris?
Yeah.
Chris, do you know what they need?
I think he said somewhere around 40,000 down would be fair, and then the balance due would be in roughly 8 months when the truck's built. So it'd be after sometime later this year, and their build time has been fluctuating based on the volume ordered, and chassis is the biggest challenge right now.
Yeah, that should work, because if we only gotta get $40,000 down, and we'll be in good shape, and then the balance is due at delivery, so you're talking we'll be after January 1st then, so,
Probably pretty close.
yeah.
Along that
After
line,
July
too.
1st?
January, he said 8 months for
Right,
delivery,
okay,
yeah.
Along that line too, I actually just heard back, we reached out just for ballpark pricing to a broker for 2112, and they said right in the mid-200s, right around 250 is a fair price, which is what they asked, what we were asking for it. I told them we were starting at 260, and he said, you're spot on with the market value. So I think they seem to think we should have no problem getting that kind of money for it if we choose to list it with a broker and go that route too.
Well, we won't do anything until we talk to the board.
Yep.
Yeah, let's wait, let's hold on.
I know this has been on the agenda for a lot of months, like the first time I was on the board. But has the price changed?
No,
That
that's what
first
we were
time?
worried about,
Yeah.
because this has been going on some time, so Chris wisely checked with the builder, and I think he extended the estimate time, so it didn't increase.
That's correct.
Okay, so,
So we have all these green lights, ma'am?
really, you're sure? I don't know, maybe we should wait another month. Go ahead, Eric.
That's a red light right there.
Go ahead, Eric.
You go ahead.
I'll make, is that blank for my name?
Yes.
I, Daniel Fox, motion to authorize the fire district staff to execute the contract and agreements with the Royal Truck and Equipment Company for purchase of the 2025 Freightliner/Royal Truck Custom Traffic Management Apparatus, including the 5% contingency with a not to exceed amount of $211,336.99, period.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion by Fox and a second by Beckman. Is there any more discussion about this truck? I'm sure we could think of something. I like to watch the sweat roll down the floor. All right, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Fox,
Yes.
Beckman,
Yes.
Verplank,
Yes.
Holland,
Yes.
North.
Yes.
And for the record,
Thank you.
Stacy said she supports it too, but she
Can't
she
vote from
can't
afar.
vote from afar, so.
Thank you, board.
I don't know, maybe.
Over is,
As long as it's not
firefighters are
yellow.
good.
Yeah, it's not gonna be
It's
yellow,
not gonna
right?
be yellow.
It's gonna be yellow?
No, we said as long as it's not gonna be yellow.
Well, wouldn't that be better for visibility or no?
It's gonna have lights in the back of it, a big arrow.
I don't know, people don't look anyway, so it can be purple.
Neon green would
There
be
you go.
better, don't you think neon green maybe? What do you think?
The only thing
Neon
I'm
green?
saying out loud is, the fire departments. If it's yellow, they're gonna think it's a construction company or somewhere else. It's ours. It's gonna get used by multiple.
Well, they've got to order the
municipalities.
chassis, they paint it one color or another, what difference does it make?
That's what we aim to do, is
It's not like Porsche where they charge you, you get an extra special color, they charge you another $10,000, as though they didn't have to paint the car in the first place, you know, wait a minute, just paint.
I don't know, Greg really likes neon green, so.
There are a lot
Can
of
we
fire
move on,
trucks.
the agenda, man?
Really? Huh. All right, Douglas hydrant survey update. How are we doing with Douglas and their hydrants?
I have to go on record, it has been such a great experience with Douglas DPW, working with them. Kathy True, your DPW board, Public Works is phenomenal.
Good.
So, what are we doing? They asked me, Lisa, the manager, asked me to get involved in evaluating assessment of the hydrants, because of the fire we had one too low. Well, we've got dozens of them too low. So we're prioritizing what needs to be raised and how much. And there are dozens of them that you can't swing the wrench, that do not meet any standard whatsoever. It is not our standard. Yep.
Couldn't we get like the Boy Scouts to do something like this?
This is heavy work, dude.
No, I mean measuring,
Oh.
and just say this one doesn't meet 18 inches. This one doesn't meet 18, and give them a list of which ones don't.
There was
and then
more
we
to
fix
the
them.
assessment. Also, the assessment was, is it a traffic hydrant or non-traffic? Non-traffic is if you snap it off, it's gonna shoot out like a fountain. Is there a valve box? We can't even find the valve box on Amity. How do you shut it off if somebody hits it? Because it's, so there was more to it than that. The other thing is obstructions. We have a development in Douglas, because we're only doing Douglas, where the fence is right on it. You can't even get on the hydrant to turn it. And then we got in, well, who's gonna do what? And, so,
What happened to common sense? I don't know.
Whose responsibility is it to take care of those hydrants?
you know, Drew, if I could answer that, so spending 2 quality days with Department of Public Works, they had the documents that showed it was Cal Lake. Cal Lake says it is not. That's an internal issue between every municipality here and Cal Lake Board. In my opinion, I would be going to those board meetings to Cal Lake, because something is wrong. We have in writing, I even shared it with them, the prior operator said, manager said, this is on Cal Lake, we'll raise them. They can't raise 20 of them a year, and now it's so deep, there's so many, it's gonna have to be budgeted out. I believe the city manager in Douglas has already allocated funds for that.
He has allocated funds for that?
She has allocated, I believe.
It'll be in the
Right.
proposed budget.
That's great, you can do a lot with $5,000, as long as they let, in my opinion, the competent people at DPW to raise them. It's both, it's mechanical. They can do it. So, there are a lot of things. You can't have a hydrant where you're taking it off every time. The wrench. When people are screaming at you, there's no water. That impedes our delivery of water. That gets documented. Insurance companies look at that. We've talked about that. So we are taking a survey, because we have these different organizations doing assessments. When we see a problem, we report it. Nothing happens. I'll give you an example. Summer Grow, they've got hydrants 5 inches off the ground. Why did the engineer approve it? That'd be a question for an internal answer.
That was 30 years ago, or 25 years ago.
They had shorter wrenches back then.
We are paid to do that, however, this is justified by community risk reduction, and first and foremost, the manager asked us to do it. I'm going there tomorrow. This will be the third 8-hour day. It's not 8, 6.5 hours.
Douglas tomorrow.
Correct.
Isn't this a lawsuit waiting to happen?
Yep.
Why would we wanna have that exposure?
And the
Or-
problem is the
like-
municipality being the owner of this, and they have a shared responsibility. That's why I said we need to take this seriously, and they have. You know, I get like, okay, Wilderness Ridge, well, that's private. It doesn't matter. The city is responsible for that. Just because they don't plow the streets, you have some misinterpretation of this. And I'm trying to educate these people, take care of your infrastructure, because it hasn't been a priority. Now, she's got $1 million worth of improvements to do. We aren't even talking about, I've got hydrants on 4-inch water mains. I hook up to a 4-inch water main, I'm gonna blow it. It's useless to me. Saugus City, Douglas, the township, 4-inch water main is 35-year-old water supply. Those are things we have to deal with because people take hydrants for granted. You must maintain this. Best thing that happened was that fire in Douglas. Who's doing what, when, and where?
Oh, the one on Blue Star?
Yep.
Okay.
Everybody's pointing fingers. First of all, the owner of that. You pay a fee to the vendor, you're still gonna be held liable. Somebody dies in that fire, you're all gonna go to court. That's why I said, can't we do something about this? Now I have terrific response in Douglas.
And a sad piece of this is because,
What about Saugatuck in the township? Are they in the same, have the same problems
yes.
with their hydrants?
Yep,
They're not stepping up to the plate like Douglas?
we haven't addressed it yet.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Dan?
The sort of sad part about this is I think there's no pressure
Oh, yeah.
From- constituents, because I mean, I do that, I look out front, there's a fire hydrant out there. I know there's a fire department over here with all these trucks. Everything's hunky-dory. And the fact that they're called fire hydrants, and we're called the fire district, they figure it's our frickin' problem, and it is our problem in that you have to deal with it, but that's not our infrastructure. We can't,
Somebody else paid for it and gave the assets to them, gave it to Saugatuck City, you take care of it. Developers put in the hydrants, and it's on your balance sheet. So somebody has to figure out something, and that's why I'm glad we have these discussions. But when we start having hydrants where we reported the one at Center Street and Blue Star that was used for the fire was on the cover of the paper in 2002. 2002. Tom Desmond is quoted in there. The manager, Saugatuck City, is quoted in there. The Douglas manager in the township. Tom Desmond said this is on us. Yet, we have a change of leadership, and it's a lot of, so we can work together to straighten this out so we know who's gonna do what. But I am not going to call and say, oh, hey, Lisa or Kathy or Ryan Cummins, you clean out your hydrants. If they don't see that when they go in town, shame on them. All due respect. I have a fire department with 4 to 6 people a day. You have more people in your DPWs than I have, servicing 6,000 people. It's not my responsibility. You guys own them, you take care of them, respectfully. We've come a long way in Douglas. They have put an emphasis under Lisa's leadership. Hydrants were, we got to take care of that. Now it's up to the top, as it should be. You've got to have money to take care of this stuff, or take an opportunity for a developer. Developers shouldn't have to pay for everything, like they've done in Saugatuck City. Let's add another hydrant at the end of Butler Street. Let's add one across the street at Coral Gables. Why? You can't drive over a hose. You blow it out, we kill somebody. You've got to have the money to do that. Collecting fees. So I think this is going to happen. It's going to get better. But as far as Cal Lake, I'll leave that up to councils.
Okay, we have to move on. Kathy hasn't Especially that fee. Just leave you all day, Kathy. Especially that fee structure.
In your packet is a special event fee, and I encourage the board, we had some great discussions on this. I find it, and the discussions were, I believe the culmination was, maybe we ought to charge the applicant, the host of the special event, a third. So, we 2/3 of this. We can pare some of this back. If you look there, for example, Mount Baldy Challenge was a very expensive to host that. We didn't even host it. We participated, $2,700. So I think the board needs to figure out, because obviously the special event coordinator, April, contacted me and said, boy, this is gonna have an impact on our special events, what are we gonna do? But when you look at this, can you scroll up, please? Is it 33,000?
For,
Single event, 27,000 years, or $27,000, 27,000 years, $27,000. Can you scroll up on that? There you go.
There we go.
Almost $28,000.
I get kind of a kick out of the special events coordinator whining that this is gonna have an impact on their cost structure, as though it doesn't have an impact on our cost structure.
Yeah.
And I think 1/3 is generous. And I also don't think we should go through any hoops to adjust the 1/3 for this event versus that event. I think it should be simply straightforward, simple, across the board, 1/3, end of story, that's the charge.
Where that third comes from.
That's up to who's ever gonna pay.
Well, we talked about the nonprofit versus profitable ones.
I don't buy that. I mean, our expense is our expense, you know.
And nonprofit, like the chili cook-off, that they get money and they give it away to whatever cause. I mean,
Essentially, these are all nonprofit.
yeah.
So that basis that we started this with, proved to be, well, they're all,
I don't know, Venetian, if they can spend $30,000 for a band, they can spend
Exactly.
$1,900 for our,
Yeah.
and the fireworks, another one.
Absolutely. All of them, as far as I'm concerned, all of them. If they don't want the 1/3, tell them they can have our 2/3 and we'll take the 1/3.
The $60,000 fireworks, maybe they should cut that back a little bit, and it wouldn't cost them quite so much.
But it's gonna cost us the same, no matter if they have
That's
a
true.
$60,000 or $20,000.
that's correct. There's minimum staffing levels required in
Right.
what kind of increases some of the costs on this. Is you have to have a water division, because of population, you have to have a southern division on land, and a city division, and then a roaming division, because you can't get out of city.
I guess my feeling is like the Christmas parade, I mean, you know, I don't know, it's...
Come on, a Christmas parade, they're gonna pay 1/3 of that number? So what?
Who's gonna pay it though?
Whoever the hell applies for the,
Whoever puts it on.
whoever puts it
Okay.
on.
But there isn't any revenue for that event.
There's cost.
There's not a lot of revenue for any of these events.
Oh, there's revenue for that Halloween thing in Douglas, I can promise you, but it's by the bars and
Yeah, it's not
police department probably pulling people over.
It's not the people that put it on, they don't make anything.
I mean, there's no event fee or anything for 4th of July or for Christmas.
Right.
Why are we doing the Benville Christmas Parade?
Why are we doing the Fenville Christmas Parade? We do that as a mutual aid request to be in the parade.
Okay.
That's the only, they have the Goose Festival, and they do that parade, so they asked us to come in. I'm paring some of this back, but still, needless to say, this is what it cost
It's not a lot of money.
last
I
time.
mean, how much of this is us showing off our equipment? Isn't there a little bit of that in there?
2/3?
You've got a number of, you have community participation was one of the motivators. Traffic control is the biggest costly thing, because you didn't have a lot of participation from agencies. So that was like Mount Baldhead Challenge, that was a real costly one because of the size of the event. The fireworks and all that is pretty much, can't
Well,
do a
that
whole lot about
ties
that.
through.
So was participation, involvement with the community, some of it was scene security, medical. So there were a number of elements that composed the need to be there.
What I'm saying is the Mount Baldhead Challenge, they charge people to run at that thing. They're making money.
Right.
Now, the sidewalk sale, the stores downtown should be paying for that.
I think they pay a fee to be in the sidewalk sale.
Yeah, but that whole convention thing has been messed up for years.
Well, Saba no longer exists.
That's part of the thing, that's what I mean, and then RJ had his own, and it was a cluster, you know what. But hopefully April's got this under control.
She's gonna do a great job. I think so many of these events are community events. Like, you know, you've got a great organization like Rotary, Cow Hill, that funnel the money back in. And the board, I believe, needs to decide at what point do we say, okay, we're giving you resources to make money to put back in the community, at what expense? I know with Rotary, we talked about Mount Baldhead Challenge. I said, you need to hire your own traffic control people. We'll do what we're supposed to, medical and fire. And they were very receptive to that. And that might cost them $2,000, but then reduces the event, I can't help it. Those are the things, you really can't pare back Venetian fireworks or 4th of July. But some of the stuff, I've said it before, Halloween parade, I've cut back from 15 to 8 people on that. That's a costly public safety event, and it needs to be. You need to have blocking there, there's too many people.
Well, the other consideration, that's why I don't wanna get it, that's why I'd rather see a straight cut on a straight sharing of a third or whatever. Because if you start laying these out as to which particular jurisdiction these benefit, there's a great lack of equity in terms of how many, for example, how many of these are in the township? How much does the township, which is the greatest cost contributor to the fire district, benefit from any of these? So I don't wanna go down that road, because it's a rabbit hole, but it seems to me a simple enough thing to say we'd like to recover a third of the costs, the fire district's cost for providing services, our services and our equipment and whatever, on these events. I mean, I suppose you could, you know, if you think that's too generous to the fire district, cut it to 25% or whatever. But I think some level of sharing is important. Otherwise, I mean, that's just fundamental. You draw on somebody's resources, there should be some cost sharing for those resources. I mean, if we were having, you know, honestly, if we were having Saugatuck's DPW come over and plow in front of the fire station every time there was a snow, and they said to us, geez, we need some, you know, we need cost of equipment, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I get it. Fine. Figure it out. It's just, it's an issue of fairness.
I think the volume of special events is why you're discussing this. If it was 5 or 6 events for the year, no,
Which
but
it may have used to be the case.
Yeah, that's the
Go back
issue.
far
They
enough.
just keep adding more and more and more and more and more.
and nobody wants to go do these things for nothing. You know, it's one thing to do 2 events a year when you're volunteering for it, although that might be undervalued. It's like every other weekend we're doing this stuff in the summer. And then the prep work for it is immense, because you want it seamless. The time involved on these events is pretty significant, and the volume of them has really grown out of proportion. That's why I think, when you have to have, if you want to protect people, you can't commingle people in the street and cars. So that's an element of traffic incident management. And there's a right way to do it, or a shoddy way to do it, and it's gonna cost. What can we do to all share in the cost is what I'd like to see happen here. Douglas is, or Saginaw City is contributing our DPW now more than ever. That's great. Only taken 22 years to get there. Douglas leads the way in doing it. I see this township, and nothing. So I think that discussing this, trying to figure out where can we reduce costs, what can we do to share it, is the appropriate thing.
I don't think there's an easy answer, because
Nope.
they got many feelings, like, we're gonna have people say, well, I pay my taxes, we expect parades, and we expect the support from the fire department, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Well, maybe we make it a budget line item, and we raise the budget to cover these costs.
And that's the risk you have, pay taxes, but I do know the people walking into city halls and stuff, they pay taxes, they're charged for a permit, charged for a short-term rental.
Right.
You know, I'm no different going into the township. It's just like paying your baseline bill for your gas bill. If you use it, you're going to pay more. That's an analogy. It's not always shared. But I tend to favor, how can we do a budget adjustment? I don't like charging municipalities, and many of this is municipality run.
Yeah, the Holland Fire Prevention Week parade.
Well, we're part of fire prevention.
Right,
And there's 30 other departments there.
right.
So that, I don't want to take that out and mislead you. We participate. If the board directs me, we won't go.
Right, I'm
Yeah,
just
no,
wondering
I'm
how you
just saying.
collect the money
I don't
for
know.
that.
Yeah, you can't.
Can't. Okay, so.
They're going to tell you no.
But there's goodwill in that too, I believe.
Yeah.
And, you know, burn camp, if you aren't going to cover that, Vicki and I'll write a check for that. That's covering burn people.
Well, I mean.
But the Venetian beer
So this needs some
tent,
discussion and some thought. and
want to
maybe-
table it?
Yeah, we can table this, and I think maybe we need to talk about, having a smaller group that comes up with some ideas for this, because this is kind of a,
And if we do that, maybe you can get April in on that group.
right.
I mean, somebody whose interests lie different.
Yeah.
In favor of all the,
Right.
different things.
I'd like to suggest consideration be given to an ad hoc committee of your making up of whatever it is.
Right.
For pros and cons either way.
Right.
Because, you know, we're gonna charge a fee and we're gonna be the bad guy, and that's not fair.
Right.
We
No.
carried this burden as long as I've been with this fire department.
Okay. Okay, so,
And it's affected our budget.
does anybody wanna be on this committee?
I will.
Drew, who else?
Stacy.
Stacy.
That's what happens, you don't show up
Scott
and get
Phelps,
volunteered.
yeah, okay, Drew, Stacy,
Scott
and
Drew.
Scott Phelps.
Yeah, Scott Drew, there you go.
See, they're gone.
Well, the three of us are on the, I don't know, am I back on the ambulance committee? I don't know.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
We're on that, so they could be on the,
Yeah,
I have
it's
a
an
question.
open position for someone from Douglas, that's all we say.
Chief, I have a question. She was on the board and she went off the board. Doesn't she have to be sworn in again?
I thought I would spare the time, we've already sworn her in, I never swore out.
She might have swore out. She might have sworn.
And I never had the yo-yo
I
effect
mean, I
before
don't
like
know
this, so.
if it should or shouldn't be, I don't
The
know.
ink's still wet from signing it before.
It's hard. So we really need to move on. Performance review timetable. This, I think, should be somebody besides Jay Verplank that puts this together. I think We need to have a new outlook on the chief's performance review. I've done it for the last 12 years, and quite frankly, I'm not gonna do it again.
Why has only one person done it?
Well, you have to lead it up. I mean, it's like, you put together the form, you send them out, you get them back,
Oh, I-
Orchestrated.
yeah.
Is it the same form?
You can use the same form, or you can use a different form. Maybe it'd be good to use a different form. Gee, Kathy, I think this would be a great thing for you to do.
If I was retired, I would do it in a heartbeat.
And what
Somebody would
makes you
explain, I have to work every day.
And Mr. Beckman, what makes you think I'm retired? Sorry.
But I travel, so, okay.
Somebody with experience in
I would be
municipal
glad to
government.
do that if you want.
That would be
If
so
you
nice of you, Kathy.
help
I
get
would
me
really
started.
appreciate it. And somebody needs to start doing it anyway, because there won't be around that much longer, hopefully. All right, so Kathy's gonna take that over.
Do we have to make a motion to table the event fee structure, or not really?
I don't think it was just a discussion. I
Okay.
don't think we've really done it.
That was the intent discussion, because I knew it was, I don't want you making a random decision, not that you would, but.
Okay, so we can move on to the 2023 end apparatus truck maintenance review.
I thought this would be interesting for the board to see. You're not really exposed to this.
Very-
You have people ask you, what does a truck cost? So basically, this is just the truck identity, the number, like say truck 2110, it went to 62 events, and it just shows the cost. I can't really see the top.
Oh, these are all the events they went to?
No, incidents.
Incident.
Incidents, I should say
There was
incidents.
something wrong with the truck or something like that?
Yeah, maintenance, annual maintenance.
Okay.
So it just gives you an idea
Wow.
of what we spend on a truck. For example, you take the top row, you look at that one cost per mile, $1.73. Put it in perspective, Tower 2151, this is a real dramatic difference. Look what it cost you, because you had a huge expense last year. So you're at the $40.25 a mile. It's low use, but it's a costly truck. But this isn't typical. This is for 23, right, Eric?
Up to the end of
Up to the end, yeah, to the end. So it just shows fuel. It shows, okay, here's annual maintenance, here's a repair. Wording is weird, but we didn't write that. How much fuel did we spend? How much gallons? Mileage. This is one of the programs that we have that really thought would be helpful for you to see once a year, just what the costs of the trucks are. 2112, you can see what the costs were. Hey, what does it cost us a year? They asked me about 2111. What does it cost for the year? And that just shows you some numbers. It's all it was intended to be.
Chief, does that include mutual aid as well?
Yes. It does include,
I think this is a great chart. Nice job, Eric. And, you know, if we're talking about getting rid of 2112, and you look up there and it's gone to 154 incidents, and it's cost us what?
$3 a mile.
So,
$5,200.
$5,200, is that what the annuals?
Yeah.
Oh, that's maintenance. But it just goes
Oh,
to,
yeah,
it
pipe
just
shit
goes
goes-
to show how important that vehicle is to us.
and this just gives you a great, I love pie charts, Eric knows I like these, and this just breaks it down to show you, hey, where's all that red? Okay, that's the tower. You know that's a expensive piece of equipment, like an ice maker in a commercial building. So this just shows you percentage of the budget, what it costs.
I know this is pretty easy to do, Eric, but it would be cool to see that pie chart on usage.
On what?
Usage, incidents, usage.
The mileage.
Mileage will throw it off because the ladder truck, the big one, we've only used 18 times.
I think that was 740 miles or something. Can you scroll?
Yeah, 752. So it's not gonna show a,
Yeah, so here you had, that was 752 miles.
I mean, just the
When
value.
you need a type of truck. But it's interesting, when you look at these, I was just with one of the Douglas police officers, and I said, how often do you replace your trucks? And she said, 3 years. Well, they're running them 24 hours a day type thing. We are 5 to 7 years for that. Apparatus, 15, 20 years. We were 20. Insurance companies kind of forced us the 15-year replacement. I believe, Peter, what are your trucks in Saugatuck City? 5 year?
It'll be 5 years.
5 year. We don't do that. We can't do it because our trucks are a lot more money. So we try to be cautious. There's a lot of used trucks in there because we had to. We like to avoid that.
I agree with Eric, this is really useful.
So we'll do a usage one, right, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, all the columns that you see there, we can make a pie chart for each of them, so.
It's a program that Eric understands and he can filter it out. Okay.
All right, thank
So,
you.
yeah, right.
Thank you. Okay, correspondence, we have a thank you from the Prince family.
Oh, it's in your packet. Always nice to hear when staff does a great job. So, wanted to share that with you from the Prince family.
Okay.
That's all I have, ma'am.
Public comments, you can comment anything, please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Hi, Holly Anderson from the city of Saugatuck. 2 things. One, I think it's totally cool that you're training the kids how to get out of schools. That's awesome, and I bet they will remember that their whole lives. And then the other thing, I wanted to thank the fire district, the chief and his staff for providing incredibly valuable information to the Saugatuck Short-Term Rental Task Force last year. All of the recommendations from the fire district were incorporated in the report from the task force that went to the Planning Commission. They were incorporated in what went from Planning Commission to City Council, and City Council passed all of those recommendations. So it was terrific to have your support and brains on that, and Saugatuck will be, I think, a lot safer in terms of short-term rentals thanks to you and your work. So, thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else, public comment? Okay, moving on, fire board comments, Eric?
Yeah, I'd like to see who responded to that call that got, well, I guess that they respond to all of them, but sometimes they need an attaboy. You know, who responded to that call.
I usually call up the shift officer and talk to him and say
Good.
you need to give accolades to your crew.
Good.
You're right, they need to hear that.
Absolutely. And Howie, thank you for coming and letting us know that the city appreciates.
Very much.
Thank you.
Especially because Eric usually at this point laments the fact that the council's never come here, so.
It's true, that's true.
It has extra weight. That's the only comment I got, sorry.
Kathy? Welcome back.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Pardon?
Firsthand.
Yeah, I'm going back tomorrow. Came home today.
Well. True?
Would you, or I don't know who, contact Scott and Stacy and tell them they're on this committee?
I sure will.
Thank you. And they can contact me so we can, 3 of us can get together and decide what it is.
All right.
That's what they get for not showing up, and I showed up, and I volunteered.
I have no comment, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
We're out of here.
Thank you, fire board.